Hello race fans, Peter Mackay here, welcoming you to the Ricmotech Classic Sprint Series, sponsored by Proforma Elite Texas Graphics. Today we are at the beautiful circuit Gilles Villeneuve here in Montreal in Canada. Joining me in the commentary box today is my wonderful Texan colleague Austin Knight and bringing you these beautiful images and graphics is Dennis Branch in the production booth. Austin, you let me ask you, what do you think about this particular circuit? Some love it, some hate it. Where do you sit on the Gilles Villeneuve fence?
I'm absolutely in love with this track. It's got a great history. Montreal is one of my favorite tracks in the entire world to drive here on iRacing and other simulators and racing games as well. It's just so unique and a lot different than what we usually go to. Very fast, very long straights, and just some very great corners in the race. You got that opening section and that little kind of arena style where you can battle out in there. And then you got the fast chicanes that are so close to the wall. It's such a challenge. And then you got that massive hairpin where you can just set up for a great run down that back end straight. And then the famous Wall of Champions. I know a lot of drivers will curse it because it will invalidate their laps because they just try to eke out every kind of performance. But a move going to there certainly proves if you're a champion or not. And I really hope we're going to see some daring moves going to that chicane.
I'm sure we will. And if you're new to the Montreal circuit Gilles Villeneuve, here's a little look at our track guide, thanks to our sponsors at Ricmotech.
Welcome everyone to the Montreal circuit located here in Quebec, Canada. Great to have you with us as we provide you your track guide today in the Ford Mustang around this very tricky 2.7 mile road course. The course was originally constructed in 1978 and sits right in the middle of the St. Lawrence River here in Montreal. The first race held here was the Formula One Canadian Grand Prix and was won by Gilles Villeneuve, whom the course was later named after. Well, let's begin our track guide around this great road course as we head up the front straightaway here, get up through the gears into second and up into third. You'll notice the pit area to our left, main grandstands to the right. As we move into fourth gear across the start-finish line there, we head down into a very tricky entry to turn one, known as Senna S. Want to get a wide entry and late apex here to turn two and easy on that throttle coming off. That corner can be very slick on exit. This will bring us up a little short chute to a blind entry into turn three. Hard on the brakes once again, ride that curve to the right, back to the left, take a little bit of curve, get a nice fast launch as we come up into turn five. This will push us wide on exit, head back to the right, down through the gears into second. Turn six kind of wraps back against itself. Very tough to get that entry into seven to get a good launch here onto the back straight. Overtaking opportunity here for sure on this little short chute as you approach turn 8 underneath the walkway. Back to the right, take a little bit of curb, back left, wide open this time on exit. That corner opens up nice, you can get the throttle pretty quick there. Back up into fourth gear as we head down to the very famous turn 10 hairpin. Another overtaking opportunity here on entry. Want to get a wide late apex into this corner, come down on the throttle nice and easy, use up every bit of that track to get that speed off the launch to the back straight, which is known as Casino Straight. Around turn 11 there to the right, heading down Casino Straight, drivers will get into fifth gear in the Ford Mustang as we head underneath the walkway to the most tricky corner on the track, turns 12 and 13. As we head across and by the Wall of Champions there to the right, get a nice smooth entry through that chicane and back out onto the front straightaway. Well, there's your exciting lap around this beautiful course here at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. We appreciate you being with us. Thank you.
So there we are then. That is how you get yourself around this unique street circuit here in Montreal. So we're getting through the middle part now of this Ricmotech Classic Sports Sprint Series, and we have three classes taking part in the championship. So let's have a look at how the championship is looking, starting with the GS class, which is our top class. That's our big beast Ford Mustangs. Top of the championship is our series organizer, Kevin Ford, with a 20-point advantage after his victory at Watkins Glen last time out. Aaron Norman, unfortunately missing from last time out at Watkins Glen, so he's got a little bit of work to do to catch up with Kevin Ford. In third is Jeff Jacobs on 104 points, with David Sanders on 103. Fifth is Tyler Shiflett alongside Stephen Daniel, Cameron Martineau, Robert Brist, Randall McGrew, Clint Vigas, and finally Tony Kernan. Austin, how are they looking in the SD Pro and the SD Open classes?
Well, the SD Pro is John D. Allen, the 101, sitting at top of 140 points, 10 points ahead of Mike Dam. Those two in a very tight battle for number one spot. They're followed by Elvis Rankin, number one, sitting at 113. They're followed by Travis Schwenke, last driver in the hundreds. He's at 108. They're followed by David Payton, George Feike, Jacob Beasley, Chris Dornan, Cliff Eben, Robert Hartley, and Scott McClendon, who hasn't scored a point yet. And our SD Open class, Mitchell Peak is up at top at 85 points, just barely ahead of Mike Taylor and Greg Matt, who are also very close to each other, as well as Greg Brockway and Mikey Q are separated by 1 point. Edgar Sechinelli in sixth, followed by Persneris, Brendan Horn, Derek Holland, Ken Ladd, Casey Duncan, Cummings, Nicholas Parciano, Eric Crisler, Lucas Ford, Jeffrey Cranston in 16th place. And our race marshals don't score points.
Oh, it nearly got you there, but you're such a pro, Austin. That would have got me, and I'd be like, and race marshal on 0 points. That's
well, it's also hard when you can't see
favorite.
some of the names. Sorry, I just had to go off a few last names.
Yeah, no, you did well there. So, our drivers are out qualifying for the 60-minute race here today in Montreal. 15 minutes of solo qualifying, so the drivers have the track all to themselves, so they've not got to worry about being impeded by any of their fellow drivers. And Austin, this track has a bit of a reputation for being a little bit on the harsh side in terms of track limits. As we see Tyler Shiflett. Whoa, and it also has a reputation for having magnetic walls.
Harsh track limits is an understatement. A case in point right there. That was certainly a very harsh wall. If you just extend the track limits a little bit, cut that corner, maybe go off a little bit of the grass, you will go hitting a wall. And we've seen some absolutely monstrous crashes here just at that turns. Turns 1 through 4 are so crucial to get right. If you, especially in a pack, you have to make room for the other driver. It's not a single file line through there in lap 1. It's a double file line, maybe a 3-wide line by some crazy lunatic sending it down to the inside, especially through this corner, because if you have to use all that track to just get through there. But it's going to be very chaotic, and I really hope these Mustangs and Miatas get through there very safely and we don't have a massive collision at the start.
Yeah, well, we'll have to say the driving standards so far in all different categories of the Ricmotech series that we have here every Monday night live on Apex Racing TV. I have to say the driving standards have been really, really good, and hopefully that will transfer over today here at the circuit Gilles Villeneuve. And of course, this track is a kind of semi-permanent circuit, obviously a street circuit here in the middle of Montreal city centre, and of course named after the great Gilles Villeneuve, who won the first ever Formula One Grand Prix at the circuit here back in 1978. And after his untimely death in 1982, the circuit was renamed in his honour. And of course, his son Jacques Villeneuve did go on to take the world title in 1997 for Williams. So quite a bit of heritage behind this particular circuit. So we're looking at Aero Nom. Well, he might have missed last time out at Watkins Glen, but he's certainly making up for lost time here. 1 minute 51.4 over a second quicker than Shiflett. That is, wow, we don't see that very often.
Is that you?
Austin, do we?
Is that Senna? That's how?
I was thinking maybe Dominic Toretto with the 20 speed gearbox, plus with nitrous oxide. Well, Aero Nom, that is, what a lap. That's something we just do not see in the Ricmotech series in any of the categories. Really, is And also, what I notice here, Austin, is that this is a horsepower track. When the Formula
Oh,
One guys
yeah.
come here, it's known as a real low downforce track. Bit of a drag strip in a lot of places and a lot of heavy braking zones. And so the Mustangs, they're able to get their power and use them a little bit more. So if you look, there's actually a bigger gap between the Mustangs and the Miatas than there was at Watkins Glen. So hopefully that should help with traffic. Hopefully that should allow more opportunities for the Mustangs to simply gas it past the Miatas.
Do you think we're going to see? Do you think we're going to
Yes, go on.
see a? Are we going to see a 150 from Air right now? Because he is currently on pace for a 150.
He is, yes, and if you look on the bottom of our screen, viewers, you'll see our SDK graphics that will give you, and he's, 2 purple sectors, which means that's pole position time he's on. Let's get him over the line then. Oh, I think he
just
got a slowdown penalty. Oh no.
Invalidated in the chicane.
What a shame. He might get one more. It depends how many laps he's done, but we saw him coming out of pit lane again there, so he's maybe going to get another lap in, perhaps. But in fairness, he's got a pretty comfortable margin as it stands. So yes, all these times that you're seeing at the bottom of your screen, viewers, if there is a green icon in per sector, so you'll see there's 3 sections. If there is a green, that means it's their fastest of the session. It's purple, it means it's faster than go faster.
Yeah, definitely the timing here in iRacing is very color based. You want to see those greens and purples. Not really sure where the purple time came into play first, but it's kind of mandatory as Greg Mack takes pole in the SE Pro class provisionally by 200ths of a second.
Yeah, he's even mixing it up there with some of the pros as well. And well, look who we have at the top of the ST Pro ranks. It's Elvis Rankin, our teenager, the 13-year-old, who has been so impressive in the last couple of weeks here in the Ricmotech series. And last week Watkins Glen, of course, at Watkins Glen last week in the Cayman GT4, he delivered an absolutely flawless performance there, edging out Mike Dam. So they'll get a bit of a rematch this week, but this time in these Miatas. And well, if there's one word we're going to say a lot tonight, Austin, I would say it's going to be drafting.
Yeah, the draft in these Miatas is going to be absolutely crucial. And it's going to be so on point. So qualifying is going to be very needy, but it's going to just be more about race paces, staying clean with that car and keep your front nose clean and staying in the drafts of the car ahead of you. Because with these straights and not a lot of big braking zones and not a lot of areas to throw the car free from you, I think the hairpin and turn ones is just going to be all you can do. And just have to really time that pit stop to the max.
User disconnected from your channel.
As we are still in qualifying right now. 2 minutes left here in Montreal as we're looking on with Kevin C. Ford as he approaches the Wall of Champions chicane. Takes big bites of that curbs going on 2 wheels, and that is just a freaky feeling when you go out to 2 wheels in a big hunking machine like that.
Yeah, it doesn't like it, that's for sure. The Miata, it's a little bit more comfortable with getting up on 2 wheels. And but actually, what I found, Austin, was when the tires are cold at the start of the race, when the tires are cold, it's really tricky for the Miata. Actually, it can get a little bit loose when the tires are cold when you're going over the curb, so you need to watch for that in the opening laps.
It definitely. Oh. I just wanted to point something out with Peter is having microphone issues. He is not turning into Fat Albert at the moment. If anyone notices, voice going about 2 octaves lower than normal. That's not him actually doing that. So we're trying to get to the bottom of that situation right now as another big bite of the curb goes forward. The coming underneath the Dodge Dart sign. Pretty alright car, I must say. I've ridden in a few of them. Around that very famous hairpin. Don't want to pull a Kibitz into there because those just get absolutely wild, and incidents there definitely change races because a good send down onto the inside could absolutely ruin or make your race. Down the long straight we go. Time to open up all that horsepower and into the final chicane. Ford sitting ninth. The 32 big hits of the curbs. And he gets timed out of qualifying. And I believe he may have gotten off track right there. But that is your qualifying here in Montreal. And here is our grid. Aerodom lines up on pole by a second ahead of Tyler Shiflett. Clint Villas in third, followed by Cameron Martineau, Jeff Jacobs, Steve Daniels, Tony Kernan, David Sanders, Kevin C. Ford, with Robert Brist in 10th. They're followed by, in the Miatas, Elvis Rankin, Mike Dam in 12th, Travis Schwenke, John D. Allen, Jacob Beasley, with David Payton. Derek Holland starts up the sportsman class division, followed by the pros, George Fike, Greg Mack, Chris Thornton, Brendan Horn, Edgar Santinelli, Nicholas Parciano, Mike Taylor in 24th, followed by Greg Brockway, Michael Key, Patrick Fernandez at the very end of the grid.
Now, how do I sound now, folks? Do I still sound like Tom Jones?
No, you actually sound pretty all right.
That's good. I'll take pretty all right. That's an improvement on normal. So that's good. Sorry about that, folks. It's some sort of strange microphone issue, but I'm sure Austin was keeping you all very much entertained in my absence. So, Austin, who's your pick for this one? I know you don't like being put on the spot, but I'm in a mischievous mood tonight. Who's your pick in the GS class to start with?
Well, he qualified a second faster than anyone. It's definitely on Aeronom. If he can get his, if he can keep his car clean through the first lap and avoid any mischievousness behind him, he's definitely a right in for the win here.
Yeah, he might well be here in the Ricmotech High Performance Sim Racing Equipment Classic Sprint Series presented by Proforma Elite Texas Graphics. So we have a 60-minute race today here in Montreal, and I have to say I cannot wait. Now, if you're familiar with these cars and thinking, well, they can run all the way without actually stopping for fuel, if they had a fuel cell, that would be the case. But in this series, the fuel cell for each car is actually limited for the Mustangs. I shall check my notes. The Mustangs, they are limited to 47% of their fuel cell, and the Mazda is limited to 45% of the fuel cell. So we're expecting the Mustangs in the GS class to pit somewhere between lap 14 and lap 18. And for the Mazda, we're expecting them to pit around the same time, lap 13 to lap 18. So let's see. Here we go. We're about to go green here in Ricmotech Series, and we are go, go, go. And Aeronaut gets a clean break. Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic. A lightning start by Aeronaut. Once he hit the grid stripes, he just put the pedal to the metal, and away they go. All of them nose to tail right now, and no drama at all. As let's go to our Miatas. Elvis Rankin is up at front, and they're getting ready to go green, green, green here in Montreal.
Yeah, down they go then towards the opening chicane, the Virage Senna. We head down there, down the gearbox as well, and Elvis Rankin's got away clean with Mike Dam right in behind, and Travis Schwenke not too far there as well, and Mike Allen, a winner last time out. David Payton in there too in the 64 machine, but looks like our Miata runners have got through there nice and safely, which is always good. Let's see if that maintains as we head into the chicanes.
Yeah, David Payton was a little bit off running going into turn 1, but with an absolute gutsy send down onto the inside, he absolutely made up his ground right now. And a little bit of drama up in the Mustangs. Burst was involved in the incident, and he's fallen off. And now it looks like Kernan and Ford, and they're going 3 wide for second place. Alan Schwenke and Dam.
Oh, look at this, and look at Elvis Rankin. He's able to escape here. That's critical. If he can break the toe here, that is massive for his race chances, because the toe makes up so much lap time here. But John Allen, wow. John Allen making a great move there with Schwenke side by side. Mike Dam in the orange and black machine right behind. And who's going to be later on the brakes? Oh, it's Schwenke just about. But oh, Mike Dam runs wide. Right, Mike Dam runs so wide there. And the 64 car, 64 of David Payton nearly collecting him.
Yeah, Payton was down to the inside. He made up the move, but Dan's got that run down on the outside. He's got a lot more ground to travel, and he definitely has a lot more speed. But David Payton with that Miata draft in front of him, trying to pull his way, but it's just Mike Dam has the ground on David Payton. But David Payton, we've seen him be extremely good on the brakes. Are we going to see an absolute send going into the chicane? No, he is not. Doesn't want to be lap 1 hero boy today.
I think Elvis Rankin might have just Darlington striped the wall there. I think he might, if we get a good look on the right quarter panel of his car, I think he may have scraped the wall. Maybe not.
There is a scrape. There is a scrape.
Yeah. Okay, you spotted it. Well spotted. So that changes everything, and all of a sudden, Elvis Rankin, that's bound to have rattled him there. So that will give, and maybe Schwenke will have seen that. So for Schwenke,
he also has nose
Allen. That could be critical at this stage of the race, in an hour-long race. Oh, what do you see, Austin?
Well, he just got extremely loose. He's extending that car as much as he can, and with that nose damage, he is going to be affected slightly. And you can just see that just small deformation on the nose. It's going to be affecting him a lot, but it's not going to be affecting him a lot to be concerned about. Sure, a little bit of time lost in the pits to repair that, but it will buff out. It's not giving him any problems steering-wise or car handling-wise. It's just going to make him a little bit slower and more vulnerable on the straights. But Elvis Rankin, we've seen him drive before, and we know how much he can defend. As Kevin Ford has pretty much been side-by-side with Daniel right here for the first entire 2 laps.
Yeah, and back with the GS class, well, it's Aeronom clearing off at the front, but your championship leader, Kevin Ford, is back in 6th in that beautiful Ricmotech machine, a white, red and black paint scheme. Very, very cool indeed, and a big bunch up here between Cameron Martineau in that sandwich there, with the 38 car of Jeff Jacobs, that bright orange machine in there too. So this is a bit closer battle than we saw at Watkins Glen, and just shows you this layout. They just bunch up so much into those chicanes.
Yeah, definitely. You gotta just absolutely pick the places you want to make the move on, and just absolutely be on point where you want to overtake, because if you just try to eke in a little bit too much of a confidence move, it's going to end in disaster.
Yeah, and Jeff Jacobs does have a lot of real-world racing experience in the SCCA. He's been a member of the SCCA since 1991, so he knows all about racing wheel to wheel. And of course, in the real world, that's where these Mustangs will have raced when they were released. So we're looking on screen at Cameron Martineau in the 31 car, running out. Oh, he's late on the brakes. You saw the brake disc glowing away there. Brilliant stuff there. Watching that, the glowing brake disc matches paint job, which is very cool indeed. And Cameron running the 31, which of course most famously run by the Whalen Engineering team in the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship.
Yeah, Whalen actually got a win at Sebring the other day.
They did, in the Cadillac.
Absolutely wonderful team over there. The 31 of Karen Martineau getting a great run through the chicane. Vegas just held up a little bit. Martineau is down to the inside. He's got an absolutely wonderful ride on the inside of Clint, side by side into turn 1, has to hop over the curbs, a little bit of contact. He can hold it around the outside right here, but unfortunately just a little bit too wide, and the road just a little bit too slippery right now for these guys.
Yeah, very firm defense there from Clint Vigas in the 71 car. I have to say, watching those Mustangs going over the Wall of Champions, going over those big curbs on that final chicane, it's kind of like watching a sumo wrestler trying to do the high jump. It really does not look happy. Not designed for being pole vaulted over the curbs, but I have to say it is quite comical to watch, I must be honest.
Hey, I'm all for funny stuff, but these Mustangs are no joke. They're a serious car and can just absolutely blow off the competition. That wing, now, it doesn't look like much of a component, but it absolutely helps. And these cars are tuned to perfection with the suspension kits that they have. So they're a race car, they just don't look like a race car.
Yeah, oh, look at that. Of course, they're big, heavy beasts, these cars, so they need a lot of stopping power as they come around the Lepingle hairpin and back onto the gas, onto the Casino Straight. And I think Casino Straight is a very apt name for it, because especially with the Miatas, well, the draft battle, it is almost throw the dice and see what happens, because well, as you even see with the Mustangs here, we're seeing side by side Martin on Clint Vigas, and Vigas moves across on the brakes. That's a little bit cheeky. That was very cheeky.
He closed the door and drove straight into him. Karen Martin, who's probably getting onto the radio right now to let the stewards know what's happening. But look what's happening behind him. 3 wide down the straight, and here we go for a massive party on to turns 1 and 2. Well, actually, this turn is 2, because late around the outside is the number 7 of Tony Kernan, who's down to the inside now, and Kernan's jumped ahead of Daniel.
Yeah, of course, Kernan getting onto the podium last time out at Watkins Glen after the big pile-up that we had on lap 7. So he's looking to try and move forward in this field and try and get some good points again today. Back with our Miatas then, Rankin still leading, but hasn't been able to break away. Now, have we had a change? No, we're looking at Derek Holland, of course, who is our ST Open class leader, and ST Pro being led still by Elvis Rankin. Oh, see, who's that? Gone straight on at the final chicane.
That's the
45. That's the 45 of Brendan Horan. We must apologise again to Brendan. We got his name wrong last time out, and hopefully we've got it right that time.
Yeah, a lot of comments that his name is pronounced Horn, so
my apologies.
Hey.
You should, if I was on the highway, you took your horn at me in disgust at that attempt at pronouncing your name. I'm sorry.
You did not just do that. You did not just say that.
Anyway, back at looking at Travis Schwenke here, the number 16 will try and deflect from my terrible joke there. And it's still Elvis Rankin, and for Elvis Rankin, he's going to be looking in the mirror of that Miata saying, we're just desperate for the two guys as Schwenke and Allen to battle away behind him, because the more that they battle, the more that gives Elvis Rankin the opportunity. And Mike Dam, I think Mike Dam, we've seen him be very, very wise in close combat, and you've got to think maybe, Austin, that he's just sitting there quite comfortably right now. He's using the draft down the straights and perhaps changing up a gear a little bit earlier, just not stressing out the tyres. We are expecting the MX-5 Miata runners just to possibly go the 60 minutes without changing tyres, but we'll see. And he's pretty comfy there, actually, to be honest.
He's in 4th. He's behind the top runners of the league. They are going to be defending and fighting for that position as much as they can. And 5th place, and everyone behind him is so far away, he doesn't have to worry about them. So, sure, he can lift off a little bit more, save some fuel, and maybe try to go a lap more farther than Elvis Rankin.
Elvis Rankin certainly he's being worked hard at the front here, as we see Alan just having a little look, but look at that, they're all it's like a caterpillar of affordable Japanese convertibles. Amazing, look at that. And although you might recognise this car as quite a well spotted car out on the road, this is actually the most raced production race car in the world. There's hundreds of these cars all over the world racing in national series.
Yeah, there's no wonder why in the Cars movies, twins represent these two.
They
If you have
do, and
kids, you know what I'm talking about. If you just love cars, you absolutely love it.
yeah, I do love the Cars films. Disney Pixar, very much indeed. There's two types of people in this world, Austin. There's people that like the Cars movies and liars. Anyway, back at the front then, Elvis Rankin out at the front. Of course, I have to say, Austin, these MX-5s, they are just beautifully balanced. Only 890 kilos, so they're lovely light cars, and that just a nice rear wheel drive balance. They are gorgeous. They're everything you want a racing car to be. No aerodynamics at all. It's all about your skill behind the wheel.
No aerodynamics. I'm a big fan of big giant wings on the back of cars, but I am an absolute American, so I think that just looks cool. But hey, what do I know? And another big dive.
Cool.
David Payton down onto the inside, and he's stuck his nose in there absolutely brilliantly. But round the outside, Beasley gets him back. But look at Fikey. Mike is going to try to surprise them as now Payton's being pushed down to the wall. And here comes Payton now around the outside after the switchback by Beasley. And here we go, 3 wide. Ladies and gentlemen, place your bets. Who's going to be first at the end of this? Late onto the brakes goes Fikey. And he's just undercooked it just a little bit. And now the switchback, Beasley absolutely judged that perfectly. And Beasley defended in an offensive way. He's back in the lead for 5th place, but now Beasley, he does have some damage on that rear end of his car. We get a no shot.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of bump drafting possibly there, but yeah, well defended there from Jacob Beasley, and just Blake, you're right, he's had maybe a little bit of a dent up the back from another driver, but hopefully that won't hinder him too much in this race. These are tough little cars, these Miatas. So, well, we're just being treated. And look at this at the front. Elvis Rankin has now got Schwenke all over the rear bumper. So Elvis Rankin has not been able to break the toe in those early stages, and that could prove critical. He's desperately trying to break Schwenke and Allen, but Mike Dam, he is sitting there as well. I think Mike Dam is just playing this perfectly right now, and it could be that Elvis Rankin, possibly that little bit of damage on the side is maybe just distracting him slightly.
No, he's probably forgot that his damage. But the reason why he hasn't been able to pull away is that famous Miata draft. This car has such a big hole behind the windshield. It's just going to be creating this very rough turbulent air that it actually just sucks the car behind you back up to your bumper, because I've done a few testing with these cars, and I can tell you that when you're sitting in the driver's seat, air is being blown upwards. It is such a weird feeling in a convertible, but that disruptive air is pretty much acting like a Dyson vacuum, is sucking the car behind you towards you, and that's just making it so hard for Elvis to try to pull away from these guys. Sure, he does have that damage on his front nose, but it's so minuscule that it doesn't even matter. We got an incident in our Mustangs as Ford is off the track.
Oh no, our championship leader then. What's happened here? Let's have a look then. Kevin Ford in that white, black and red machine. He's at the back of a 3-car pack.
Oh, he got to the grass.
He gets swapped up on the brakes there. Oh, stay there, Kevin. Oh, that was, yeah, that's, you called it perfectly there, I think, Austin. Just touched the grass on the brakes and swapped it around. And I tell you what, he did a great job not to collect the driver in front. And he's back going again, no damage, and that could have been a heck of a lot worse.
It definitely could have been a lot worse. Onto the grass and the brakes. Must be just like so thankful. It was just barely on the grass at the end, because if it was on the beginning, that is trying to drive on an ice skating rink or try to stop with oil.
Yes, not nice. And look at this, Mike Dam, he's moved up to 3rd, and Allen has dropped back, so maybe he got a slowdown penalty or something, but he's now at the back of the pack, so Mike Dam now to factor in this race, but Travis Schwenke, he is doing a lot of the hard work and not letting Elvis Rankin away in this motor race.
Yeah, Mike, we saw Allen just leave the door open for Dam and let him by. I do believe he did have a slowdown penalty, but that Miata draft is allowing him back in. And Elvis Rankin, oh, he knows he's in trouble right now. There's 3 angry bulls right behind him. He's hugging that wall, but I believe you're not going to see an overtake once more. It was possible, but no moves are going to be made. They're still sitting behind him, still saving fuel, and just letting Elvis try to make the mistake that they can, because they know that he's young. But I think when the Mustangs come to lap these guys, as they're lapping the other end of open division right now, that's when a move's going to be launched, because it's going to be a lot of chaos. Cars are going to be coming a lot fire, a lot faster, and it's going to be a lot easier for them to try to upset each other.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You make a great point about the traffic. So on the right-hand side of your screen, viewers, you'll see our SDK track map, and you'll see the little circles. The black ones, those are GS Mustangs. The red ones, they are SD Open Class MX-5s, and the green ones are the SD Pro Class MX-5s. So you can see now our leader, Aero Nom, he's now right amongst the Miatas, the MX-5s. So he's been leading from the front. Now this is where it gets tricky. But remember what we said before the broadcast. This circuit is, well, it's a Mustang circuit. It's a horsepower circuit, and that's one thing the Mustang's not short of is big nasty horsepower. That's the one thing the Miata does not have. It's a wonderfully balanced car, lightweight, easily to maneuver, but it is short on power. That's for sure.
Yeah, if you're in the car buying market, and you're just going for a good sports car, and damn, getting into the back of Schwenke right there. Wanted to get onto the gas a little bit of Schwenke, hesitated, and that's going to cause a lot of trouble for Mike Dam if he has front nose damage, significant front nose damage, and that's going to, you try to give Schwenke a little bit of push, but that's going to be very hard for Dam if he got some damage from there. Might have looked just a little bit of a tap, not too much to cause any damage, but it absolutely was a bump right there, mid corner. Yeah, no damage I can see.
John Allen there, that's very interesting. He definitely had the opportunity there in the 101, the bright green machine. He definitely had the opportunity there to draft past Mike Dam, but he noticeably slowed up and just thought, I'll just stay where I am, and maybe he's decided to take the opportunity, because of course with that 3-car train in front of him, the air, I mean, like you say, the big old hole being punched in the air for him, it's going to be huge. And the thing is, these Miatas, they do not fill up fuel quickly, so any time in the lane that you can save fuel in this stage of the race, it can make a big difference.
Yeah, anyone in this 4-car group can win the race, but I would say the best one is the one with the least amount of damage, and that would be Allen and Schwenke. I don't see any damage on their cars. We did see Mike Dam. Give a little bit of tap to Schwenke right there. So Allen probably have the cleanest car out there right now, because the damaged car that will have you stopped in the lane to repair it, but you can keep going on without that being a mandatory pit stop repair.
Yes, exactly. Of course, it has to be relatively big if it's a mandatory repair, as you say. So, yeah, that's going to be a fascinating thing to watch. As these cars, of course, that's a street circuit, isn't it? You're just that slightest rub of the wall, it can just be a race over. Now looking back at David Payton. That's a big look. Huge send there. That is classic Montreal hairpin there. Going up the inside of 154, Jacob Beasley. And he just got onto the brakes, and, it was too late to back out of it. And he had to kind of use Beasley as a little bit of a backstop there. And look at that. He's letting him back. And that has cost him another 2 spots there. I tell you what, that is sportsmanship. Fantastic sportsmanship. Payton showing some typical Canadian good manners there.
Yeah, David, he absolutely sent it in there. He was feeling the moment. He got his nose in there, but just unfortunately Beasley didn't know where he was, and it was a little bit too far behind to actually make a judgeable move for the guy leading that pack to know what he's doing. but he did try to turn him. He almost got turned, but Beasley sent it. It's a wonderful thing to see Peyton let him back by, but now Beasley, he's not down easy street right now because he's got Holland on his rear end as they head into 3 and 4.
Now this is interesting. The second and third cars in this group, they are actually in a different class. They're in the ST Open class, whereas the blue and green car of Beasley and now my apologies of Beasley and 64 of David Payton, my apologies. Greg Mack, he's in the 2, he's the third one in there. So the second and third car in this group, they're in the SD Open, and the first and fourth car, they are in the SD Pro. So they're actually not they're not technically in the same race, but they've certainly got us fooled.
The overall race is so much more important than classes.
Well,
some guys won't say that, but if you're in the same car, you're focused on the most overall result as you can get. And these guys are fighting for first in their class, but hey, if you can just get a little bit more up there so you can just be considered for the Pro Series or maybe another team, that is what you want on your resume. And we go back to the top 4, Rankin, Schwenke, Damon, Allen, as they are once again having a little stroll down on this man-made island as they pass the casino.
Look at the gap they have all the way back to Beasley in 5th, 18 seconds back. So these guys, they are in a class of their own. And look at that, the incident involving cars 2 and 64. So that is Greg Mack. It didn't look like he was involved in that. Possibly something we didn't see off camera there, perhaps. We'll need to wait and see what the stewards decide on that incident there. But it's still Elvis Rankin, the young man with the very wise head on his shoulders, and he is, you got to say, he's doing a great job. He's held off 3 super quick drivers for nearly 23 minutes now, and that's going to be hard work at the wheel of that black and yellow number 1 car. Well, we're coming in now. Interesting, lap 13. So any time now the Miatas could come in, and 1 lap from now the Mustangs could come in. So the pit window now beginning to open.
Pit window is opening, and that's going to open up some strategy for our Miatas. I'm going to say this is going to be a very wide brain decision move. Once they come up, once the Mustangs come up to them, that is when Allen is probably going to dive into the pits. One of these 4, if they see the Mustang in their mirror on the relative, just appear 1 second behind it, they're going to go into the pits because this Mustang is going to slow them down.
Well, that's going to happen very soon because they've just come out of the hairpin, and the leading Mustang of Aero Nom, he is just at the hairpin now. So I would maybe give it a lap at the very most before Aero Nom is getting onto the back of them. So we might well see the spotters for these drivers, if they have them, telling them to dive into pit lane now. So I think you're absolutely right there, Austin. When you've got that faster car coming through, it's almost impossible to keep your lap speed up, and that could also split the pack up. But they've gone through once more. You might just see the leading car of Aero Nom. We might just see him coming into shot now. He's just at the wall of champions. There he is then. Oh, this is going to be tight.
Well, he's 6 seconds faster than Elvis at the front. Well, actually 5 seconds faster because Elvis has put in a 1:59, but all these guys are pretty much traveling at the same. Okay, he's 7 seconds faster now. 1:53 that time.
Well, this is going to be very, very close. Then, it will be interesting to see because, of course, the Sun drivers will have a spotter calling for them, telling them what's going on, telling them what to be aware of, but not everybody does. And this is such a situation where having not only a spotter but a good spotter makes a big difference.
It is. It's Rankin, Schwenke, Damon Allen leading out the Miatas. Out in front, Aero Nom blasted away in the lead here at Montreal for the Classic Sprint Series. We're going to go to a short ad break. Stay tuned. And we're back
Well-
live here at Montreal. Beat you to it, Peter. Rankin and Schwenke starting to pull away from Dam and Allen as the Miatas and the Mustangs, mostly just Miatas, starting to go into the pits right now as Aeronom is closing in on the pack of small cars ahead of him.
He certainly is. This is going to be fascinating now because look at that. Alan and Mike Dam, they've just kind of broken off slightly. Are they going to get hindered here by the Mustang of Aeronom as he comes through? Oh, possibly heading down towards the hairpin now. This is a critical point now. Aeronom, he's leading the race. He's not wanting to take massive risks. He's got a 9-second advantage from Shiflett. So, that must... of course, just the sheer size difference between these two cars is amazing. So that's just the perfect spot for Aeronom to catch them, and he can now open up the taps of that big American V8 and blast past the little flyweight Mazda.
Yeah, the max speed of a Mazda is probably about 125. The max speed of this Mustang, 150 miles an hour, so he's definitely going to be carrying a lot of speed, but going to have to brake very early on to avoid getting into the back of these guys as they all break for the Wall of Champions chicane. And Aeronom's nearest rival, Shiflett, just went into the pits. And Elvis Rankin has now been lapped by our overall leader.
Yeah, actually, Aeronom getting through there nice and cleanly, and I have to say, it doesn't look like it's affected the Miata runners much. Don't worry about that grey car at the back of the pack. It'll be a lap down until these guys come into pit lane. But that pit window is open, but it's only open for a couple more laps. So interestingly, they've decided to go with the lowest. Yeah, basically running the car until the tank's empty. And of course, when the tank is empty, that's obviously when the car is at its lightest and therefore its fastest. So interesting, we're heading just about spot on half distance now, so perfect time to come in and get a splash of gas to get to the end.
It definitely is the best part of the race to go into the pits. You're halfway through the front, refill up the tank, and go at it again for a great 30-minute sprint race here in Montreal between Rankin, Schwenke, Dam, and Allen. Now, as we were on break, we did get a question about the Greg Mack situation. He did drop down our leaderboard, but he did go into the pits. I can tell you there was no penalty involved. Since the driver let him back, there was no need for a penalty to be assessed.
Yeah, but actually, unless it'd be really interesting to go back and look at it, but it looked to me that it was actually Beasley that was getting involved there, and then, of course, let the driver by. But, yep, that's good. I think that's the right call. The place was yielded back again. No harm, no foul. So that's good. Good call from the stewards there, I would say. So, let's see, are the top four Miatas, are they going to come into pit lane? As Mike Dam has to go straight on. He'll get his... Or is he in... Oh, no, that'll break the toe now. So, for Mike Dam, he will have to give that time up. And look at John Allen as well. He has had to slow down too. I wonder what happened to him. He maybe rubbed the wall.
There's a lap car.
Traffic. Oh, dear. Well done, the lap car getting right out of the way. Well done. So now, Elvis Rankin and Travis Schwenke, they're very much in a breakaway group now. So
yeah,
this
they're pulling
is fascinating.
Away. This 17 got in their way. That was Casey Duncan ahead of him. And it just upset that entire group, and no one knew who was doing what. And now it's a two-car chase, two-car drag race, really, here in Montreal, if we're going to stick by this drag racing concept. Schwenke and Rankin trying to pull away from Allen and Dam. And, I think a lot of fingers are going to be pointed at that lapped car, causing all this chaos. But what has happened to Mike Dam in that braking zone? He just missed that point by a lot, and he's in no man's land right now.
Yeah, he is, but you know what? This if that's going to happen at any time, when it's coming to pit stop time, that might just get him away with it. If he can... Oh, look at that. I think he might have got a hit up the back. That's definitely some new damage on the back of Mike Dam's number 93 machine. So he's definitely... I think he's been punted by somebody from behind, and that pushed him forward in to the final chicane. So that's a really unlucky for Mike Dam. Let's see if we can get a look
Oh,
at
it's
here.
the 101. It was Horn.
I think Alan. So Alan gave him a little bit of, John Allen gave him a little bit of a nudge possibly. Ah, that is fascinating there. So
it was a little bit
this
earlier
is
in
where,
that lap.
if they get together now, this is interesting because depending on when the drivers choose to pit, it could be that for Mike Dam and for John Allen, so we see John Allen going into pit lane there, as does Mike Dam, and they're going in very hot there. Wow, that's scary going in there. So this possibly could, depending how this all filters out, as Elvis Rankin and Travis Schwenke carry on, and depending on it, the gap might get even bigger, but we will not know until they've all come out of pit.
Gotta have clean racing to pull out a gap right here, and these two are the fastest guys on track in the Miatas, and well, I would say are the cleanest drivers, but it all is personal with these guys. You gotta not make any mistakes when you're putting it pedal to the metal right now. So you look at our mini map, those guys are who went into the pit lanes. I know Dam is just getting that rear end worked on. He might have suspension damage, and he just got exited out of the pits right now, but it is a traffic jam at the end of the pits as the 101 of Allen is, well, he's the cream filling of a big Mustang sandwich right now.
Yes, and that's an uncomfortable place to be for a little micro Japanese convertible. So, well, Elvis Rankin, he has driven a flawless race so far. I feel like I say that a lot these days. He's such an impressive young man behind the wheel and just doesn't seem to feel the pressure at all. Just loves the battle, and yeah, despite that slight mistake just into the wall of champions on the, I think it was lap 2, he's certainly not dropped in pace at all. But these guys are going to be right on the end of the pit window now, so there can't be much gas left in the tank for these drivers.
Yeah, we'll see. But I have a high feeling that we're about to see both these guys make a very educated stop into the pit lane. They're leading Feike by 29 seconds. And Elvis, he's going to the pits, followed by Schwenke. 1-2, and I think Holland's about to join them. No, Holland's staying out.
I tell you what, Derek Holland making that making that tank run really long.
No, that
number
was
80
Holland
machine.
behind him.
Holland was out on track.
Oh,
So we're looking at John D. Allen on the screen right now in the 101 machine, the bright green and black car. Almost looks like the old Patron tequila cars, which are a big plus for. As we see John Allen getting a draft from the number 60 car. That's Chris Thorman, who's not really in the same race right now, but a wee draft will I'm sure, be very welcome. But where is Mike Dam? John Allen goes over to the inside line. There's Mike Dam at the back of your shot there. So yeah, so there's about 3 or 4 seconds there.
Might have had a cut the track penalty.
Look at that. There's Elvis Rankin. Oh,
hello.
Well, and there's Schwenke. So Alan, he has got a big old jump in the pit stop. So whatever he's done, fuel saving or what have you, remember he was at the back.
And Elvis just get very big onto the brakes. I'm sorry for cutting you off right there and just absolutely blowing out somebody's eardrum. But that slow lapped car is getting a big block right there. And could have been disaster for Elvis Rankin, and very heads-up drive by Allen, who got onto the brakes as well. That's allowed Schwenke to catch up to these guys for this three-way fight for the overall lead. Now, Thorman, he stayed out, and that's the car that stayed out, and that's the 60.
Now there's a little bit of strategy at play there, because remember, our drivers get a bonus championship point for leading a lap. So you'll see some drivers leaving the pit stop to the absolute last moment purely to get that bonus point for leading a lap. But Thorman will be expecting him to come into the pits shortly. Elvis Rankin showing on our timing screen as black, which is the GS class. Now he's fast, but not that fast to make this car go as fast as the GS car. He is in fact in the ST Pro class. which should come up with a green icon as well. So we'll see if that.
The reason why he's showing us
changes
black
shortly.
is because that is the car that we have him. The car selected turns black in the icon, so that's just the way our broadcast has it styled. As
Well, that's
Alice
useful.
It's useful once you know why it does that.
Well, there we go. That's been an educational broadcast, certainly for me anyway. I hope it has for our viewers. Now, the big loser out of that big shuffle there is Mike Dam, and you've got to think that he maybe, like you said, maybe had to just spend those crucial seconds longer in the lane. Let's see if the back of his car is looking a little bit better. No, not really.
It looks like somebody gave it the it gave him the Ken Miles rear end treatment.
Yes. Well, actually, it now looks like it's got.
I
rubbed the wall. Oh no. Oh dear, dear, dear. That's not good for Mike Dam. And that car looks. It looks like it's crabbing slightly. Maybe just the camera angle there. But oh no, that's not what that car needed. It's now got that spoiler you were wanting. It's just.
During the break, I said I would really like to see a Miata with a just big spoiler on there. Well, my wish was been granted, but unfortunately, it's not going to be helping Mike Dam down these straights. What will help them, though, is a 3-car incident involving these three, but that will probably not happen.
Well, it just seems like it's the cork in a champagne bottle. At the moment it's static, but it's not going to take much for that cork to pop out the bottle. And I just feel that these drivers are just keeping their noses clean for now, but make no mistake, like we saw at Watkins Glen, the last 5 to 10 minutes is when it really heats up, and you'll see drivers jostling for position quite a lot more. But Mike Dam, it looks like he's still able to run a consistent pace-ish, but he's very much lost the draft of these three guys, so it's likely with the pace that they're on that they'll drag away from Mike Dam. So, but Mike's he's got a good cushion going back to Beasley, so he should be able to get the car round and get it to the finish, claim some points, and move on to the next round.
You just see how much that Alan's been in that trap. So much rubber has been built up on that front of the car compared to Elvis Rankin, who's been in the lead at all. Elvis Rankin's car looks like it just got out of a car wash, as Alan looks like it hasn't ever been washed.
Yeah, I have to say Alan's car looks like, well, my car, to be honest. It's not seen the car wash in many, many months. But I always say it makes it look more like a rally car, and that's a good thing for for me. I don't drive it like one, but it makes it look like it nonetheless. Yes, you're right. All that rubber spattering out the back of Elvis Rankin's Miata, all over John Allen. But I think him not having to lead the race before the pit stop, I think that gave him definitely a saving in the pit lane, where he didn't have to put as much fuel in because he'd been saving at the back of the pack. As we see Schwenke having a big look here, and I wonder if Alan's slow down. Yeah.
And we got a drive-through penalty for car 64. David Payton responsible for that incident. And he's going to get a drive-through for that right there. And
yeah, but that's...
Oh, he got to the grass and... Well then.
Well, that in fairness to David, that's unlucky all round for everyone concerned, because of course that wasn't malicious. David getting onto the brakes there on the grass, and it's just like braking on snow. It's horrible. And unfortunately, the irony is that I believe that was Beasley that he took out there, who, when those two guys got together at the hairpin before. What a disastrous race. Well, I have to say, if you're Mike Dam, that's probably, and if he's nursing a damaged car, well, that's good news for him at least. But speaking of Mike Dam, he still seems to be circulating at a fairly good pace. Let's see what lap time he did there.
The 159.
Yeah, he's not far off. He's not far off. I'd expect him to have more if he's got damage, but driving that car hard, as we see, the 66 car of Mike Taylor coming out there, but that's not going to cause him too much of a problem. Mike Dam's got the tyres up to temperature, and he makes his way by.
Yeah, I just hope these guys are very communicative on when they're braking. Don't want any people sliding in front of their nose, and it's absolutely brake checking onto their brakes like I did to somebody last night.
Oh, Austin, naughty. There's no brake checking, of course. When
To
I
be
think of brake
fair, the
checking
car
now,
doesn't have the car I was driving doesn't have brake lights, so
almost worse.
hey,
Dear oh dear. So 101 of John.
iRacing, please add brake lights to the Skippy.
So Travis Schwenke then, he is now the man sitting at the back of the group, and of course these guys here, these are your championship contenders along with Mike Dam. Just a reminder, John Allen in the green car, the 101, he's leading the championship on 140 points right now, from Mike Dam in second, who is on 130. Elvis Rankin, he's currently sitting third with 113 points, but right now he's sitting out front and provisionally at least set to take a maximum bag of points as it stands. However, I would suspect that it is not going to stand like this forever, and I suspect it's going to swap back and forward numerous occasions before we hit the end of the race.
Oh, looks like Allen's taking a look there. It's a bit later on the brakes than Rankin, but his entry was a lot faster than Ellis. Had to back up just a little bit. As let's ride on board with Allen. He's got a great old run. We're not going to see a push, though, into turn one, unlike what Elvis's car wants you to believe.
Absolutely, I like that. I like that graphic. Kind of reminds me of like an arcade video game that you would get in Japan with it kind of push to start here, press start to begin. And well, John Allen, he's decided not to do that, but well, he's certainly close enough. But Elvis Rankin, what can you say about him? He's just been inch perfect for this whole race, and around Montreal, as we've seen, plenty of drivers have made a lot of mistakes, and there's these horrible chicanes here that's really tricky to get the car turned and back in the power. And Elvis Rankin, he's just not put a foot wrong there. Just to say that, just touches one on the grass, but no harm, no foul.
Yeah, no harm right there. Elvis is very fast through this sector, and Allen's been struggling. We saw him last lap, but going to that break zone, Allen just absolutely sent it. Big amounts of oversteer, car very unsettled, and Schwenke now is right beside Allen as we're going to have side-by-side racing. Schwenke down onto the inside makes the move for second.
Now Schwenke's going to have a go. So certainly John Allen there getting over the curbs, and you saw huge. He had to give a massive throw of opposite lock to keep the car going. And yeah, that just killed all his momentum. And with these Mazdas, they just do not have the horsepower. So the momentum is so important. And if you lose it, it takes so long to build it up. But speaking of, look at that draft. I mean, Elvis Rankin is probably gone from a 10-car length lead to about a 2-car length lead there. And I don't even think Schwenke got a particularly good exit out of the hairpin. So it just shows you how massive that draft is going down the Casino Straight.
Yeah, that draft is very important, but Elvis Rankin has the biggest lead he's had so far in this race heading into turn one, which is saying something about the drafts of these cars.
Certainly is. And just an update on our GS class. Aero Nom leading, but only by 10 seconds at this point in time. So 12 seconds, my apologies, it's just adjusted there on my screen. But yeah, that is he did have a bigger lead than that earlier on, but he's probably at the stage where he's just managing it, just taking care and managing a good lead. So that's good news for Aero Nom. He's currently sitting in second in the championship behind Kevin Ford, and Kevin Ford currently mired in 5th. So that 20-point gap is going to reduce significantly.
Yeah, sorry about correcting you right there. He's driving so fast, he's breaking our timing tower.
He is indeed. And at the moment, he would take a 9-point advantage from Kevin Ford in this race. So that would reduce Kevin's championship lead to just 11 points. So certainly closing up in the GS class. And well, it never really opened up here in the Mazdas in the ST Pro class, because these guys, they've just been glued together for what seems like not just all race but all season.
Yeah, it's hard to separate some great drivers in Miatas, especially the tracks and the tracks that we've been visiting this season. Very long, very fast, very flowing, very draft heavy. And these Miatas, they love to draft heavy track. Now, if you bring them to a more technical track where there's not a lot of straights, we're going to be seeing a lot different races. But with these cars so far, it's pretty much follow the leader right now and try not to bin it.
That is always key, that's for sure. As you see the 62 car there of Greg Brockway is lapped down, so that's another car for these guys to be aware of. And so far, I have to say, Austin, the discipline from the slower drivers has been really, really good. They haven't done anything particularly unpredictable. There has been points where the leaders have caught them at an unfortunate moment, but they've not made any wild moves left or right. And as the faster drivers, that's all you can really ask for. And it definitely a big improvement on many series for sure.
Yeah, you don't want any lapped cars causing any trouble. Now, we did see a few little bits of chaoticness between inner classes, but they've been ironed out. Nothing bad's came from them. The top three still with each other, and that's actually allowed Schwenke to catch up there back in the second. So he's kind of thankful that we do have some lapped cars doing some odd things, but really they just came up on them so fast that nothing could have been done. And Schwenke is caught back to Rankin, and Rankin letting the 62 know that he's right behind him. We saw him get onto the radio to let them know that they're coming.
Yep, and Greg Brockway there in the 62 giving plenty of room, and all three drivers in the lead here getting through nice and safely. Well done to all there, very good. That's where the radio contact between drivers can be very helpful indeed. And Elvis Rankin, well, for such a close competition, he has barely made any shadow of a mistake, and he's just been able to have that pace. You've got to imagine for Schwenke and for Alan, you've got to imagine when does it get to the point where they start to get frustrated that they just can't seem to force Rankin into a mistake?
Well, I would say in about 1 minute time, because we're approaching 10 minutes to go. That's when your blood starts to boil. This sprint race turns into a, well, it's already a sprint race, but this would be a super sprint race. 10-minute sprint race between Rankin, Schwenke, and Allen coming up right now. And it's going to get pretty heated between these guys. And I think the more we go on, the more looks Schwenke and Allen might have down to the inside or around the outside or on each other or Elvis.
Well, let's hope they are clean and fair moves if we see them, but sometimes with these Miatas the way by is sometimes the aggressive way. So yeah, with 10 minutes to go here in the Ricmotech Classic Sprint Series presented by Pro Forma Elite Texas Graphic. A brilliant show from our MX-5 Mazda Miata drivers, whatever you like to call these machines. Of course, where I'm from in Europe, we refer to it as the MX-5, but I know in North America it's affectionately known as the Miata. So you can't go wrong with Mazda.
Yeah, zoom zoom.
Zoom zoom indeed, and that's what these guys are doing. Whoa. John Allen just getting really, really close there, coming into the hairpin. And it's funny enough, you mentioned Robert Kubica. That's I can't think of that corner without thinking of poor old Robert and that horrific accident he had there. 15 years ago now. But amazing that he walked away from that particular accident. It just shows you this is not a safe circuit. It's a really, really gutsy, brave circuit to drive.
Well, it is a safe circuit. It's got that grade 1 license. I'm pretty sure they would love to tout the circuit safety right now, because you know, any incident here, you want to know that you can walk away from it, not be risking any sort of risk right there. As Schwenke looked down to the inside very early on the brakes, but he could have died right there. And Allen tried to make the move around the outside of Schwenke, and now they're all bunched up with each other right now. And Schwenke pretty much has a good look at Elvis, but he's just so close that he can't judge the move. And Allen, he's just sitting back there, staying close to these guys and judging what's going to happen this lap. And I think we're going to see a Allen send coming by next lap. on Schwenke if he doesn't try to make a move on Elvis.
You got to think about. Absolutely, yeah. You've got to think about tyre life as well, because Elvis Rankin, he's definitely the one who's had to work the tyres the hardest. He's done all of the leading. He's led away from pole position. He has not been challenged yet, but he's the one who's had to lead the pack. And look at that, 4 wheels off the ground there, getting a rallycross jump there, going over the big curbs here at Montreal. But for John Allen, and to a certain extent Schwenke, they've got that opportunity just to be able to keep that critical life in the tyre, because heading 52 minutes on these tyres now, they've got to be getting a little bit past their best and going a little bit more up on its toes now, this car, getting a little bit more lively.
Now, I'm gonna say you're wrong about Schwenke having the best tires. He's been struggling a lot with tire grip, especially in that especially in that sector 2 area where they're going through all those right and lefts. He's been constantly slow through there. We saw him get a lot of oversteer. Elvis Rankin, he's been so smooth. He doesn't have to worry about battling, doesn't have to worry about taking any evasive action. I say Elvis has the best tires out of all 3 of these guys.
Controversial. Well, we shall see as we see Travis Schwenke. He finally makes a move. So here we go then. Cork is out the bottle. Let's see if Travis Schwenke is going to have a look. But Rankin very strong on the brace, but he's run wide, but he can get away with it there on the switchback. And here we go now. This is it now. All the gloves are off. And look at John Allen. He's decided to go for an opportunist move, and all the while that scampering just allowed Elvis Rankin a critical car length or 2 there. So now we're going to see who has got the pace in this final stage. This is where the points are handed out at the checkered flag. So we've got 6.5 minutes to go here at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Montreal.
6 minutes to go, 8 seconds clear of 4th place. It's pretty much all in the writing books for these guys for podium, so they're going to try to risk it all with 6 minutes left here in Montreal for our pro drivers in our Miatas. And, well, we haven't really mentioned much of the Mustangs because, well, we haven't really been seeing much of them, and, well, we're about to see one of them. I think that Mustang is going to become a pick for one of these drivers.
Yeah, possibly could be, and that always has an effect. The traffic can work to your advantage and it can work against you, and it's just how you position your car. That game of chess. And what did you see, Austin? I
think Elvis just hit the wall and exit.
Oh dear. Oh well, we'll see what happens there. As you see Schwenke and John Allen getting in the draft now. And that, look at this, Schwenke might have a look here up into the final chicane. Here he goes then, he pulls out. Is he side by side? He's going to be later on the brakes here. He is. He's going to get the move done. It looks like, yep, Elvis Rankin didn't fight too hard there. Whoa! Goodness me, as they go 3 wide down the straight, then 2 wide, sorry. You got Travis Rankin and Elvis. Elvis Rankin moved right there.
Allen down to the inside, going for 1, no, 2 places up to take the overall lead here in the Miata Pro class. And now Rankin around the outside, just shutting the door on Schwenke's attempt. And now Rankin, this is a sight he has to see a lot. He's sitting in 2nd place, and now Schwenke's back in 3rd with John Allen leading this race. What a fantastic move by John. He gave Elvis a little bit of a bump as he was forced all the way down to the pit wall. And now 5 minutes remain. We're going to see the elbows get out, some swords get out, and a shield. We're going to see something get very medieval.
Yeah, it was actually Schwenke that made the move into the final corner, but that definitely hurt his momentum for sure, and he got a bit of a wiggle and had to yield. But here they go then, Schwenke's back in the fight now. John Allen going, that's very, very close. Very, very, very close to the limit of that chicane. I'll be surprised if John Allen doesn't get a slowdown penalty for that, because that was really, really close for the 101 car. But Elvis Rankin, what are you got to feel for him? He's led all this race, and finally, the final 4 minutes or so, he's now got to fight for it. He's now really got to get his elbows out and go for it. But Schwenke, he's right in the fight there as well, and who knows, Mike Dam, he's only 7.2 seconds behind, so if these guys get together, he could maybe just profit here.
It's 1 to lead all race, but it's one to win the race, as Elvis Rankin trying to decide, should he go down to the inside, should he stay on the outside, should he just focus on the exit. I think he's choosing letter C, and Elvis just gets absolutely rocket exits coming out of the chicane. If you look down to the inside, you have a great chance to go for it right there, but your exit is going to be so slow. And now here comes Elvis Rankin down onto the inside, right back to the pit wall. Who's going to be the last late breakers? They're going to break at the same time. Rankin jumping over the curb, but here comes Allen down onto the inside once more. Side by side, racing here in Montreal. Allen stays into the lead, but Rankin, he's got a good run around to the outside. Side by side, they're going to go into turns 3 and 4. If Elvis doesn't lift off, Elvis is going to lift off right there. 1, 2, and 3. Nose, nose, nose. All the way to all those tails as they go to 3 minutes remaining. Oh, this is edge of your seat action here for the Ricmotech Classic Sprint Series, presented by Proforma Elite Texas Graphics.
Yeah, John Allen just showing that real wise racecraft there into the opening chicane of that lap. So who's going to have the draft here? As we see Elvis Rankin looks to the inside. John Allen, he's going to have to defend really hard there. And of course, we've got this Mustang just approaching, looming large in the mirror.
Ooh, this is the line.
Interesting. Well, yeah, that's really tricky there between those drivers. So Elvis Rankin, he's now on the outside line, heading down towards this right-hand hairpin. And look at Schwenke, he's there too in the blue car in number 16. John Allen has the inside line. That's just where he needs to be, and he takes the advantage there. But Schwenke, he's going to go. Oh, big oversteer on the exit there from the 101 of John Allen, and that has allowed Elvis Rankin to get the run.
Rankin is absolutely flying right now around the outside. He's had Allen down to the inside, and Allen got the big oversteer, but he's just made a mistake. He's defending onto the inside. Now Allen has the outside line. Allen has the preferred line going to the wall of champions, and now here comes Schwenke trying to make a move on Rankin, but they both break incredibly early. Allen is flying away right now as Rankin and Schwenke, but Allen, he's got to slow down. That did not just happen. Allen has got a slowdown penalty, and he is back into third, and now it's Rankin and Schwenke for 1-2 on the last lap of this race. White flag is out here in Montreal.
I'm not sure with John Allen there if that was a slowdown penalty or if he just had an enormous oversteer moment there coming out of the final chicane. It'll be really interesting to find out after the race if that was the case or not. But Elvis Rankin back in the front then just when it matters, and Schwenke is going to have to drive really, really hard here to catch up with Elvis because there's a good couple of car lengths now between those two drivers. So Elvis really wanting to capitalize on that whole race long, leading it, but a little bit oversteer there on the switchback, no problem. That's what these Miatas are like, and it's Elvis Rankin from Schwenke, and John Allen is not done either.
Yeah, Schwenke definitely needs to have the best line that he can going through this corner. He's been having a lot of trouble with this corner. It's been his arch nemesis, but if he just gets it absolutely perfect, and that is as perfect as he can, and he's got a absolute run. Rankin knows this too, and as he sees Elvis defending onto the outside, here comes Schwenke down to the inside, and absolutely sent by Schwenke. Elvis very loose on the brakes, and he's going for that outside line, but Schwenke gets the overtake, but a big bit of oversteer right there from Schwenke. Here comes Elvis jumping over onto the curbs. Elvis around the outside. Schwenke's got the inside line. Allen has 2 lines of draft to pick from. He's going to choose the inside line. He might go onto the outside right now, but no, we're going to go 3 wide, baby, on the casino straight. No, Allen's thought about it. He knows what's about to happen right now. Side by side into the wall champions. Schwenke sends it into the corner. Here goes Elvis. He's going to fly over these curves as they're having a drag race down here. Here comes Elvis down to the inside. Allen's joining in the party. 1, 2, 3, nose to nose. Rankin's leading it down as they're crossing the line. Allen takes the win by 1. They're still racing. That wasn't the checker. That wasn't the checker. It doesn't look like it. Although it's come out, it's been the GS field checkered. So it's got the checkered flag for Aero Nom wins in GS. So we've got 1 more lap left
of this Miata battle. Well. So, John Allen now out front all of a sudden. How did that happen? Going from third to first there, and then Elvis Rankin right behind with Travis Schwenke. What a race. Well, we have come to expect nothing less here in the Ricmotech Classic Sprint Series. Goodness me, and look at Elvis Rankin. He's really battling with the very best here, and it's so tactical. But we've got one of the Miata runners will be running slowly. Of course, they'll have been possibly out of fuel. Yes, absolutely. So, well,
John
Allen
expecting this race to go on that long. As certainly I was. I thought that was the last lap, and I'm so sorry for leading y'all on like that. But hey, we got another great fight, another great lap now. Allen leading it out. Elvis in second place, a little bit onto the grass, but all these guys nose to tail going to the hairpin, and it's going to be a clean fight. Allen's gone wide. Here comes Elvis Rankin. Schwenke's at the back of this. Oh, I hope you guys like sequels, because I think this is going to be better than the last lap. Because here they go, down the casino straight. Rankin's got a great run. Allen holding to that outside line. Rankin's going for the even outside of the outside line. Schwenke's just hitting back, letting low. As let's see to the split view. Early break-in for Allen. Rankin takes the lead as they head into the final chicane. Allen's going to fly over the curb. He gets a little bit unsettled. They're drag racing. Elvis is in great position right now. Allen falls behind the Schwenke as Elvis Rankin is going to take the win in the Miatas. And that was a slowdown penalty that happened to Allen right there.
What a drive from Elvis Rankin. He did everything there. He led from the front, made no mistakes, and then won in an absolute side-by-side battle. What entertainment from our drivers here. Elvis Rankin in the number one machine taking the win from Travis Schwenke and John Allen, who ran him all the way to the end. And Mike Dam, we forgot about poor Mike Dam, actually getting the car over the line in fourth. What could have been a lot worse considering the damage that he took, and looked like that rear damage in particular, not his fault at all. So, you know, he'll be disappointed not to be up there with the fighting for the outright win, but to come home in fourth, get some points in the bag, very good indeed. Well, what a race here on Apex Racing TV, and poor old Aero Nom, well, he drove such a perfect race in the GS class in the Mustangs that we didn't get to talk about him much, but that meant that he was out there driving flawlessly.
Aero Nom, perfect race, dominating race, all the time in the lead, and he deserves to be up there. What a fantastic race by Aero Nom, and well, what a fantastic race by everybody. And I think we're gonna take a little time to take a breathe here for the Ricmotech Classic Sprint Series presented by Elite Texas Graphics. We're going to take a little small break as we get ready for our race results.
Welcome back to the Ricmotech Classic Sprint Series. What a show that was from all of our drivers. A flawless performance from Aero Nom in GS in the 78 machine. And well, what can you say about our young hotshot Elvis Rankin in the number one? Led 55 minutes of a 60-minute race, and then really was made to fight for it by John Allen and Travis Schwenke in the closing stages. So let's have a look at our race result then. Here's your rundown in the GS Pro class. Aeronom taking the win on his return to the series by 13.2 seconds. A dominant victory from Tyler Shiflett. Third was Clint Vigas rounding out the podium, and Kevin Ford recovering to fourth place. Good championship points for him. Cameron Martineau in the 31 was fifth, with Jeff Jacobs in sixth, Steve Daniels seventh, David Sanders was eighth, Robert Briss was ninth, and finally Tony Kanaan. Say it quickly, sounds like a 2013 Indy 500 winner. Tony Kanaan in the number 7 machine in 10th.
Yeah, taking the win in our ST Pro category. Elvis Rankin in a absolutely wonderful performance today, takes the win over Travis Schwenke ahead of John D. Allen, Mike Dabb, George Fiki, Jacob Beasley, Chris Thornan, David Payton, and at the end of that 8-car grid, almost got me. And to our ST Open, Derek Holland takes the win ahead of Greg Mack, Edgar Sancinelli, Brendan Hernan, Nicholas Parcianu, Greg Brockway, Mike Taylor, Mikey Key, and Casey Duncan with Patrick Bravanis in our top 10. And what a race. And Peter, I believe you are standing by with the dominating Aeronom.
Aeronom, well, first of all, sir, I owe you an apology because we didn't give you the camera time you deserve because you were driving so perfectly. You're out on your own, dominating the race. Tell us about how it was from your chair.
Yeah, pretty much it's pretty easy because Kevin did get good quality, so I think Kevin was the second best driver. And yeah, I took it really easy, especially in the last chicane. I didn't take any risks.
I see. And for the Mustang, it's a big car with a lot of weight. How did you find it over these big curbs that we have here at Montreal? Tell us about that.
Oh yeah, it was really difficult to find the right setup. Yeah, it was just bouncing all around in the practice. So I softened it up a little bit, and yeah, you still have to take carefully.
I can imagine. And of course, we didn't see you last time out at Watkins Glen, but closing up in the championship now on Kevin Ford. Looking ahead to the next round, what's the plan for the next couple of weeks to prepare for that?
Just a little bit practice, it'll be okay.
Well, there we are then. Well, that was Aeronom, our GS class winner, joining us for an interview. And I believe our ST Pro winner, Elvis Rankin, the Wonder Kid, is with our Texas kid, Austin Knight.
First of all, I'm no kid. Howdy, Elvis. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm great. I'm absolutely right now shaking, but I'm doing good.
I can tell if you're shaking or not. That was an absolute fantastic race you had, and it went all the way down to the wire. Talk us through those last 2 laps and what you had to do to stay in the lead and just have a pretty much contactless final lap.
I wouldn't even say it was the final lap. I'd say it was the final few laps. The last 5 or 6. We were really starting to go at it then. But I think, for most of the race, I'd kind of been out front. I'd kind of been setting the pace. Running at my own pace, what I needed to do. Once we got to the end, I was kind of just trying to figure out, what kind of moves can be done to where I can pull in front or anything. And I think on the last lap, a couple laps earlier, I noticed I had taken the left-hand side and let some guys come to the right and try and get the pass. What I noticed is if you could let them through before the final chicane through Wall of Champions, they'd get extremely loose coming out, and you could get a big power off the corner. But coming into the last lap, I kind of made the pass before, and I was a little nervous because I thought the one-on-one of John Allen was going to come back and get me, but I was just thankful enough that he got a little bit caught up out of the corner, and I was able to pull it home.
Yeah, it was another great win for you, and one of the more tight wins for you. So glad to have you back here, uh, spraying that well, soda, I must say.
Yeah,
I
there you go.
I wasn't very experienced up on the podium at your age, but I do remember the one time I was just giving it a Coke. All right. Well, as you take that win, before we let you go, anyone you will want to thank.
Yeah. First off, I want to thank John Allen, Travis Schwenke, and towards the beginning, Mike Dam. They're so competitively fast, and I felt like coming into this race, I had a little bit of an edge on them, but we always race nice and clean. We have fun, and it's so much fun to run alongside those guys. It was a shame that we didn't get to see a couple of the guys show up tonight because I think it would have been a really really fun race. But my mom, my dad, my grandma, my grandpa, they helped me so much on the real world racing and on sim. They believe in me no matter what. All the sponsors that keep us on the track, real world, can't do it without them. Can't do it without those sponsors. Extreme Motorsports 99 and Ricmotech and all the admins of the series, Kevin Ford, Jeff Jacobs, Russ Ruddock, Bobby Childs. We couldn't do this league without them. I mean, they make all of this stuff possible, and especially you guys at Apex Racing TV. We couldn't go back and watch our races. Watch the funny moments of the race for some of us, or the really good moments, which I think tonight I'll be going back and watching and seeing. There was a great race, but is there a couple things could have capitalized on? So that will definitely be a point to watch for sure. But thank you guys.
And thank you for putting on a good show. And thank you all for sticking with us. And we're going to go to Peter for our upcoming races.
Yes, we have. So, if you enjoyed what you saw today here, or live on Apex Racing TV in the Ricmotech Classic Sprint Series, well, we have Ricmotech action every Monday night here on Apex Racing TV. Next week, August 3rd, we have the GTC, the GT Challenge. That's our Le Mans GTE cars and GT3 sports cars, and they're going to one of my dark horse favourite circuits, Circuit Zolder, the other big circuit in Belgium. Of course, Spa-Francorchamps gets all the headlines, but Zolder is a wonderful circuit as well. So do come to check us out for round 2 of the Ricmotech GT Challenge. In 2 weeks' time, August 10th, we have the return of the sports car series back here at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. And that will be our GT4 and TCR cars. And for any of you who haven't seen our sports car series broadcast from last week, go back and watch it. It was one of the craziest races I've ever called. And then finally, in 3 weeks' time on August 17th, we have the GT Challenge again, round 3 at Le Mans, at Circuit de la Sarthe, one of the most iconic venues in all of motorsport. That's all we've got time for here on Apex Racing TV. We'd like to thank our sponsors, Ricmotech, for making this series possible, and Elite Texas Graphics also, which helps to get all of this show on the road. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next Monday night for the next edition of the Ricmotech GT Challenge.